Access Sportsnet Lakers brought to you by your Toyota dealers. We make it easy. Chris McGee, Big Game, James Worthy, and Robert Ory. The Lakers unable to clinch in Houston. The young Rockets flat out outplayed the Lakers tonight. Just played a much better game. The defense was suffocating. Lakers looked tired. They turned the ball over 24 times. That turned into 30 points. Rockets had 23 fast break points, and they shot the ball much better tonight. They were 12 of 29 from three, and plus 21 in that category, James.
Yeah, you're talking about a desperate young Houston team that didn't want to, get swept at home. You knew they were going to come out with energy and effort, and they did. Without KD, a bunch of young players still with energy, creating 24 turnovers, Geeter, 17 steals, they had. They shot, I believe, the ball pretty good from the field as well. Got some high percentage shots. And the Lakers just didn't have the fight tonight. When you turn the ball over and giving up extra possessions, it's going to be hard to put a young, energetic team together. It's a tough task to finish out, a 3-0 lead and try to go 4-0. So now they get to come home and, redeem themselves and try to finish in Game 5.
Yeah, one team was playing downhill, one team was playing uphill. And when you're playing uphill, like the Lakers, where you got a lot of energy expended, and you turn the ball over, that makes that boulder come back down you even more. And I think one thing about a young team like this, they don't want to get embarrassed. So they came out with a lot of energy in life. As you see, Reed Sheppard finally stepped up for the Rockets, and it was just one of those nights where once the Lakers, I talked about it before, once the Lakers got punched, they just didn't know how to get out of the way. They just kept getting punched. It's almost like Thriller Manila, they had it, just kept hitting them like that. And you just got to get out of the way. And hopefully, this is a wake-up call, and Lakers understand, now you got to come home and take care of business, because you don't want the thing to go any longer, because confidence, like I mentioned earlier, is the biggest thing when it comes to playing basketball.
All right, James, let's start with the Laker turnovers. 24 turnovers for 30 points. 8 of those came in the first quarter, and that really set the tone for this game. You could see the Rockets gaining momentum. The crowd was into it, and the young Rockets started to believe. You could call it tired legs coming off that emotional win 48 hours prior, guys playing a lot of minutes, or you can credit that Rocket defense, or a little bit of both. But the Rockets were feeling it tonight, and it was a tough night all around, though, for the Lakers, especially handing the ball.
I think it was a collaboration of, a few things, Geeta. The Lakers have been very successful. Going up 3-0, I'm not sure if they expected that with or without KD. They did, expend a lot of energy doing so. But also the Rockets, a young team without KD, trying to prove that they can win at home, or they can compete. Like I said, in Game 2, they had a lot of offensive rebounds. Game 3, they had, I think, 18 offensive rebounds. Today, it was the Lakers turnovers. So they're capable of forcing you to play a certain way, and they'll take advantage of extra possessions. They'll take advantage of turning the ball over by, getting some easy buckets on the other end. And they showed tonight that they'll fight. So and they didn't want to get swept. So the Lakers are going to have to, have their antennas up, regain that, that toughness that they had in the first 3 games, and really finish well at home. Don't give them that head start. They gave them a head start tonight with those early 8 turnovers. It's like you're in a race. You got like a big head start, and they never could, redeem themselves.
Rob, I looked at halftime. The Lakers had 14 turnovers, and they were down 9. They only scored 47 points, so they were struggling. But they were only down 9. So we all felt coming out in that third quarter, we would know pretty quickly. If this is a close game and the Lakers can get it down the stretch, we all felt they're going to win this game. Rockets, however, 34-18 in that third.
Yeah, 34-18, and you look, and when you talk about the Lakers offense, you see where you got Rui scoring, you have LaRavia scoring, you have Connect scoring. But when it's like a steady diet of 8, and I'm like, oh, even though I picked him as my pick, I'm like, if y'all going to 8, it's almost like y'all not running your offense like you normally do. And that's when I was like, okay, they're just trying to get through this game. And sometimes when you just try to get through a game, you just want to get home, and you want to try to end it at home. But I just thought the energy was kind of subpar. I just thought, the lack of concentration. To me, if you go down the list, Ayton and Marcus Smart, they came out to play. Everybody else was kind of in neutral and cruise control. But, you know, that's what happens sometimes when you get really complacent. We talk about that when you get up. You get the fat cat syndrome. You want to sit back like, oh, we got this thing. KD's not playing. Oh, we got this thing. Yeah. But you forgot, Sengun, former All-Star, you know, Ahmed, one of the most athletic guys in the NBA, and they came out and they shot the lights out. So, you know, hopefully, you know, this is a slap in the face to wake the Lakers up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, when you go up 3-0 on somebody, it's something that internally, automatically, you're not even conscious of it all the time. It just lets you decompress and take a deep breath. And sometimes you don't even know you're losing some of that fight, and that's why it's so hard to try to, you know, get up for that fourth game. I think the Lakers were guilty of that tonight. It wasn't. I think they were trying to win, but I think they just had that. We're up 3-0. We got 2 more games at home. We can finish it off. Sometimes you get that. It's dangerous, but sometimes it sets in.
Before we get to some of the chippiness, I do want to credit the Rockets offense, too. All 5 guys, all 5 starters in double figures. You saw them the first 2 games really struggle. They didn't get to 100 points. They got to 108 in Game 3. So they were only averaging 100 points per game through the first 3. But that was a much different story tonight, Rob. It was early with Sengun playing a little bully ball, just lowering his shoulder. And then it was Amen Thompson. Reed Shepherd had 4 threes. Aaron Holiday off the bench, 3 threes. So a much better offensive game for the Rockets.
If you look at the last game, this is the same pattern that the Rockets had. The starters all had double figures. We talked about that. When you don't have a dynamic player like a KD in the lineup, you depend on one another a little bit more. And the Rockets have guys that can score. The Rockets have guys that like to get to the hole, and that's how they play their game. They put the pressure on you defensively, and they try to get to the hole, to try to get to the free throw line. They shot, 31 free throws a night, made 25. And that's one of the things that this team does, because they know if their jumper's not falling, it's a wrap. And they only really have one consistent jump shooter, and that's Reed Shepherd. He finally showed up tonight without KD being in the game. And when you down like that, you play with desperation, and you put your head down. And once you start getting to the basket and see one going in, that's when those jumpers get easy.
And we had this breakdown the other night when Danny was here. I mean, when KD is in the game, and the Lakers have beaten the Rockets the last 3 times they've played, when KD has been in there, is, you know, he has the ball the majority of the time. So the Lakers play a certain defense around him, and a lot of guys are kind of standing around waiting to see what he's going to do. This is the first time a Rockets team in the playoffs, all 5 starters with 15 points or more since 1997. So there was involvement from everyone.
And to think about it, you know, no Van Fleet, you know, they're doing it without a legitimate point guard in tonight's game. You know, they depend on KD to handle the ball a lot. And a lot of times, you know, teams have gotten used to blitzing him, figuring out a way to get it out of his hands. Shepherd, you know, he can be exposed. He's a great offensive player, but he can be exposed on the defensive end, as Marcus Smart has shown us. So, but without a legitimate point guard, for them to be able to be active and find ways to, you know, put the ball in the bucket and get production, that says a lot about the collective effort of athletes that they have.
So right there, we're showing you some of the chippiness that was going on. That happened throughout the game. I mean, Deandre Ayton got a flagrant 2. I didn't think that was necessary.
Absolutely.
I thought that was absolutely a flagrant 1. Then they kicked 2 more guys out of the games. I think it was Okogie and then
Noah.
It was Holiday and Theo.
Holiday and Theo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Theo got kicked out of the game. So it was getting a little wild. But listen, the Rockets, we're not playing like a team that was down 3-0 in terms of that cockiness and that chippiness, and I think the Lakers got to take that with them into Wednesday night. I mean, this series all of a sudden got real, right? You just hadn't seen it. You're seeing it across the board in the NBA playoffs. You just hadn't seen it yet in this series.
That's what they say. These little young Thundercats think they still got a chance, you know, and they do. And you just got to come out there with that energy and emotion. And we talked about it before. When you're down, you have a little bit more pep in your step. You have to match that energy. And the Lakers were matching that energy until that 3rd quarter. And then that's when they just, you know, all the wind went out the sails. And for me, you got to figure out how to get back home now, because sometimes with teams like this that are young and don't know any better.
That's what I was saying today, too.
Is when young teams are, we won 1. We can win 4 in a row, or 3 in a row, or 2 in a row. And so the Lakers got to come in. They got to punch first. That's one of the things that I always tell, don't wait to get hit. You hit first, and then you figure it out from there. And so when they get home, the Lakers got to hit first. They got to play downhill and make the Rockets play uphill, because if they don't, they're going to have to get back on the plane, travel 3 hours to H-Town, and it's going to be hard, because KD might be back, even though AR might be back, but you don't want a team to get momentum.
That's the big unknown, because if KD messes around and come back, then you're like you're putting yourself in jeopardy. But you know, the Houston Rockets right now, they're like a baby rattlesnake. You know, they bite you and they don't know when to stop biting. They just release all their venom, as they did tonight. They know they're going back to LA. They got a little physical, tried to start something to let the Lakers know that, look, we're not going to back down. So with that in mind, the Lakers got to regroup, maybe have a conversation on the way back on the plane, because you can't allow them to come in with that attitude and control the momentum of the game, offensive rebounds, you know, turnovers. You can't allow that to happen again at home.
But if I would have told you a week ago that the Lakers would be up 3-1 coming home Game 5, I think we'd all sign up for that.
I think you're crazy.
We'd all sign up for that. So it's a playoff series. LeBron with Mike Trudell in the media.
LeBron, you knew it was going to be quite a mental and physical challenge to sweep any team, let alone a team as good as Houston. Where did you see this kind of flip as they built the lead up?
I mean, we did a good job in the second quarter of kind of cutting into the lead, you know, and then we had a few turnovers, which was our kryptonite tonight. I mean, obviously, we know coming into the series, we have to protect the ball versus them, not have too many pick sixes, which we did all night. And I mean, it started with me, obviously. My turnover was unacceptable, but you know, we do a better job with that on Wednesday. We understand that offensive rebounds for them and pick sixes is not going to be good for our ball club. And, you know, you give them credit where credit is due. They won the game tonight.
You mentioned that, you know, being up 3-0 did not give you any comfort. It's still the first of 4. And so what is the mindset now? As you do get an additional day of rest, at least going home, but what's the mindset going into Game 5?
It's the same as it was going in the first 4. You know, we understand what our game plan is, and we didn't execute that, you know, to 48 minutes today. So, you know, we get better from that.
Despite the win in Game 3, there was some slippage in the second half, and some of the same issues you mentioned, the turnovers, came up in this game. Now, having played the 6 tough quarters, kind of going back home, do you feel like the team at least knows what to identify and address?
No, we knew before the series even started. So, you know, we knew, and we understand that if we want to win this series, and that we have to protect the ball, and we have the defensive rebound, and we have to be and obviously bring that toughness, which we did tonight. I'm not worried about that. So, but the turnovers obviously killed us, you know, from the start to the finish.
You guys played a pretty intense game on Friday. Do you think that had any effect?
No.
Just the team going back tonight?
No.
What was the recovery process for you like yesterday?
Same as it always is. Sleep, cold tub, ice tub, training, the same. Nothing changed for me.
You've talked a lot about how these series can be long and things can kind of change. They had a couple guys who hadn't really seen the ball go in a lot. Saw it go in a couple times today. What do you guys need to do defensively, pressure-wise?
Defense wasn't our problem tonight. It was our offense. Defense wasn't our problem. We turned the ball, 23 times for 30 points? So, yeah, another turnover right there. So, yeah.
24.
Yeah, 24. 24. So, yeah, defense wasn't our problem. It was offense.
LeBron, when you have a 3-1 lead and you're going home, are you able to feel comfortable, or you don't want to be comfortable?
No, hell no. There's no such thing as being comfortable until a series is done. No, and none of us are.
Do you have any thoughts on Deandre's flagrant 2 and kind of how that went down there?
I mean, I know what I saw. I mean, I think he was embracing for Sangoon on the post-up. Elbow getting ready for the physical contact, and then, you know, obviously, if you see it, his arm slipped going up and then hit him in the head. You know, the refs said they didn't see it that way, and they made the call. But, yeah, you got to be pretty damn good to just completely just elbow somebody like that on purpose.
The back and forth jawing after the buzzer at center court, do you feel like that's any sign of a carryover?
I don't know what that was all about. I'm more pissed off about them kicking the dude out. That was uncalled for, and it made no sense. Then that's his first. I think it's the first time he's ever been thrown out of a game in his life. That was. I don't think that was warranted. I mean, give him 2 technicals. The kid just got in the game, and that was ridiculous. I mean, but I don't know what was happening at the end of the game.
Yeah, so there's LeBron James, and he said, listen, defense was not the problem tonight. We didn't execute the ball. We turned it over 24 times. And outside of Deandre Ayton, the offense did struggle. Everyone, including LeBron, only 10 points, a couple field goals made. I think that's his 3rd lowest. in his playoff career, 8 turnovers. And he wasn't the only one, but it was one of those nights.
Yeah, I hate to keep bringing it up, but when you're turning the ball over as much as they were, those are also shots that you're not getting up. Those are a lot of possessions that you're not getting, and that screws up your rhythm. You know, the offense is not flowing the way it usually does because you're having to play that extra 14 seconds of defense, especially after you give up an offensive rebound. Or if you turn it over, you're not getting back, and they're taking advantage of it. 30 points off a turnover. So, yeah, the offense doesn't flow well when the defense is not flowing well and the turnovers are too heavy. So your whole rhythm gets disrupted. And that's what happened tonight. It wasn't the lack of effort of defense, but it was just turnovers and just can't get your offense going when you don't have those extra possessions.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's one of those moments where the team is in attack mode. And you look at the way the Rockets play, they all shot around the same number of balls, 15, 10, 12, 16, 12. And that shows you go to sharing the basketball. The one thing that makes teams so deadly, you can always have your superstars. They're going to get theirs. But when you have a team that's making everybody out there one time play defense, that's the hardest thing to do. You know, you got to be able to shut someone down. You got to be able to stop someone. But if he cooking, he cooking. If 5 guys cooking, you're going to get smoked. And that's what happens.
That's what happens. All right, Lakers and the Rockets, game number 4 highlights. Lakers hoping to bring out the brooms here. Your Toyota dealers.
JJ, obviously you guys had 24, I think it was 24 turnovers. Just what were you guys seeing, or what were you seeing just in terms of what Houston was doing to generate those giveaways?
What they normally do. You know, we're going to spend a lot of time over the next couple of days just figuring out ways to, try to prevent some of those turnovers.
Hey, JJ, LeBron said in his last press conference saying that for young guys who grow in the league, it's more important that they play the first minute season than the regular season was. I think that's the case. How do you think they perform? How do you think this is a good time for the world?
Yeah, I mean, I think any experience you can get in the postseason is great. I know I was talking with Noah and Grant before the game just about that in my career, and Noah had asked just about getting confidence from the postseason. And, my third year getting thrown into the fire a little bit because of some injuries, we ended up making the finals. I got a lot of confidence from that, and certainly, going to need all those guys at some point. I mean, that's just the reality.
JJ, I'm curious, what was your view on the Deandre flagrant 2? And then just a few moments ago, LeBron was not very pleased about how Adu got ejected from the game.
I didn't get a great explanation on Adu. I'm sure James will give you that. I'll rewatch the clip and try to figure it out, and James will give you that. On the DA thing, I mean, DA's like he's got such a sweet, just like kind soul, and no, that wasn't dirty or intentional. It looked, from our vantage point, like he was trying to brace himself with that off arm. I think it was his left arm, but trying to brace himself against Şengün's body, and looked like his arm just kind of slipped, and obviously hit him in the head, but. I don't know that if 2 was warranted. I don't think DA would ever do anything malicious.
JJ, they had a number of players that haven't really seen the ball go in a lot this series. They saw it go in tonight. Just as you move forwards, defensively, what do you guys need to do to maybe turn that faucet off a little bit for Holiday and Eason?
Yeah, well, I mean, Holiday is a laser for us, so he shouldn't be getting catch and shoot threes, and we'll certainly look at the entire process on the defensive end and see where we can be better. They played a great game.
I have 2 for you, JJ. You were out at center court with a lot of your team. A lot of Houston was out there too after the final buzzer. What was going on, and is there anything that needs to kind of be addressed so there's not carryover and when the game gets out of hand for Game 5?
I don't know if you guys have ever been walked down a street. Not that I have walked down Bourbon Street or Beale Street in Memphis much, but sometimes when you walk down those type of streets, you see something going on inside one of the bars or clubs, and you kind of want to just peek your head in. I didn't know what was happening, so I just kind of walked over there to peek my head in. Didn't feel like anything was happening, so we left.
I can accept that. And talking to LeBron, he said that defensively, you guys did your job, but offense was the problem tonight. The turnovers are one thing, but just generating points.
Yeah.
I obviously you guys have 57 points in street clothes, but where does the thing stand with your offense headed back home?
Again, I mean, this is a top 10 defense the entire season. It's obviously very challenging without your two leading scorers to generate offense. I think we'll take a look at the process again on that end as well. And I know our points per shot and our expected points per shot were slightly below our season average. So there, to me, again, it goes back to the two keys: take care of the ball, and we'll look at that and how we can be better there.
Deandre Ayton led the Lakers with 19 points.
LeBron just told us that he thought you were kind of bracing for, contact physical. Sengun obviously is physical backing in, and then maybe the arm slipped. What did you see from your standpoint on that play?
Yeah, I was really just trying to brace, the contact with Sengun, and, we both sweaty guys. I just slipped off his shoulder, and it literally, my elbow hit him right there above his shoulders, and he got, it looked crazy on camera, but, I'm not no guy who's a dirty player or plays like that, in ways. If anything, with me trying to play dirty, I'd damn near hurt myself. I just hope he's all right and didn't think it was intentional. I was just playing hard, and, my elbow, slipped up and got him above the shoulders, and it looked crazy on camera, the outcome of what the results were, I accept it, but definitely wasn't intentional. I don't play like that.
Is that true? That's your first ejection?
Yeah, I think so. It is my first ejection. I've never, there you go. 8 years later, it's my first one.
What was the difference tonight here?
What?
What was the difference tonight for the team?
I don't know what you mean.
Like, as far as the involvement during the game and trying to make the plays, was something different tonight?
No, I felt like we played the same and we were playing together. I think Rockets brought some intensity, but I felt like we matched it in spurts as well, and we were defending, and the opportunities to get second chance baskets and loose balls. I think we were, we matched that energy a little bit. I just think the making shots down the line kind of got us and got them in transition.
You were cooking before the ejection, 19 points, the team high, 10 rebounds. Does that take the wind out of your sails, or can you carry that over to the next
Oh, no, I'm licking my chops. I'm licking my chops. Trust me. I've been here before, This was supposed to be an elimination game, but I love what the crowd brought the energy, and it was perfect, Just try to end this at home. But I love the intensity. I love the fight in the guys I've seen over there in the Rockets, and I can't wait to see them.
With the 3-1 lead in the series, what's the best approach for you guys to take going home? Not to feel comfortable? Feel like you have to get it done?
I mean, tonight definitely didn't make us feel comfortable. We're pretty angry. I'm pretty angry. Honestly, I wish we could play tomorrow. I have a lot of energy now, but we're gonna go back, watch the film, and really turn up our level of intensity a little bit higher as well, and we'll have our fans out there cheering for us and make this thing, quite a game.
When you've committed 20 turnovers in 3 of the 4 games this series, what are some of the main things you watch on film to make sure that it's not a trend for Game 5?
Oh, really knowing my spacing, knowing where Marcus and Bron needs me to set screens to get them open as well and run to the basket, just knowing that both sides, whether it's heavy side or weak side, knowing where guys are coming from helping them. Just watching that repetitively and just keeping consistency in that.
Time for Access 360. What are you going to break down, Ron?
Turnovers. I hate to do it, but you know what? Someone has the energy. Someone has to do it. I know they're going to see this on the plane ride on the way home. Man, NBA playoffs is where it's at. This breakdown is not good. But sometimes you have to point out the things that are wrong.
Yes, sir.
In this play, it's a lot of confusion from jump right here. Look, do I set the pick and roll? And right now, it's like, okay, Jackson Hayes does what he runs to the front of the rim, expects the ball. Leonard comes up, and he goes, shoot this. But now he tries to throw the lob to Jackson Hayes, but he throws it Where? Not up. Put it up by the rim. That's only going to get it stolen. And it starts a fast break. Right here, got to go to the free throw line. On this one, this is when it's really confused me. Like, am I going to say, does LeBron come off hard? LeBron, you taking up the space, LeBron, but what you're not going anywhere. You got 3 Rocket defenders right there ready to attack you at any moment. Deandre Ayton's trying to set a pick. Now he goes to the front of the rim. And right now, Rui should be yelling, whatever the term. We used to have something we would call it Isaac. He comes back and he takes it from LeBron. And he looks back at Rui. Why didn't you tell me the defender was coming? He gets a fast break point. That right there what got Reed Shepherd going. Now, we're in a position where I'm an ISO. Everybody in the world is looking at you, but look where Jabari Smith is. He's dang near double team LeBron. But look, now we get a great post up, and it was kind of a foul over the back. Deandre Ayton's complaining about it, but you can't complain in the playoffs. You got to get your butt downhill and get back on the play. But now, everyone in the Rockets play, what do? They spin. He got the and one. And that's one of the things about when you play in the playoffs. You ain't got time to complain. And that's one of the habits that you start during the season where you look at the refs and complain. The refs aren't going to give you anything. Get back on the defensive end because every possession is so important in the playoffs.
There's a certain way to talk to refs, and it's not at the initial point. You wait till there's a dead ball, catch him at the half-court line when no one's looking, then you go have a little conversation. You know who's really good at that? Marcus Smart. He doesn't complain. He'll wait 30 seconds, a couple minutes, then he'll catch the referee off to the side somewhere, and they'll talk about it. So, yeah, you don't want a referee to see you start complaining too much. It kind of sets the tone for your game and how he's going to judge you. So, I mean, unless it's a legitimate complaint, then just get back on defense like Rob said.
All right, on Crypto.com Arena, we'll have the pregame for you, of course, at 6 o'clock. Marcus Smart at the podium.
Marcus, I'm sure you guys expected Houston's desperation to only increase, like being down 3-0, and it kind of mounts almost after every win that you had prior. Where do you feel like that stands as you head back to LA for Game 5?
Same thing. They came out. They split 1-1. But now got to go back to our house. So we'll see them there.
Marcus, 24 turnovers, I believe, was the second most you guys have had in a game this season. Just what needs to change going into Game 5, and where do you think those turnovers stem from today?
Just a little bit lackadaisical from us. Shots weren't falling early. We was getting to the rim. A lot of contact, wasn't getting the call, so, it played a part, but we'll be all right. It's part of it. We've been playing our asses off for these last 3 to 4 games, right? So, we understand, they came out. They did, like I said, they did their job. So we just bring it back to LA and we'll see them there.
Marcus, you mentioned just how hard the series has been, just physical. How much of the mistakes do you think were kind of mental fatigue and how much were physical fatigue, and how do you kind of recover in the next 2 days before Game 5?
Majority of them was mental, but we were dropping passes. Myself included. I was throwing passes to guys' legs. Normal passes that we make on a regular basis, right? But it's something we got to clean up. We know it. We understand it. It's not going to get easier. We understand that, but we've played this team, for 4 games now. In the first 3, we did very well. So we understand it. Just got to continue to stay poised and get through it.
Marcus, when you have a 3-1 lead going home, do you allow yourself to get comfortable, or
No.
that's just not the case at all?
It's not the case at all. We came out and, tonight and we tried. We just didn't have it. That's part of it. But, they had the crowd behind them, a little bit more energy because of that. But, no, there's no time for let up. Now they got to come to our house and we get our home crowd behind us and we get that momentum to in our house. So